The signal arrived without warning. It did not come from a known planet. It did not come from a trading ship. It did not come from any mapped star system. It came from the Dark Zone. For over 100 years, the Dark Zone had been a place of fear. No ships traveled there. No probe survived inside it. Long ago, a powerful alien fleet tried to explore its edge. None of them returned. After that, the galaxy agreed on one rule. Stay away. So when the signal appeared on every major communication network at the same time, panic spread fast. At first, many believed it was a mistake. A broken relay station. A ghost signal from the past. But the coordinates were clear. The energy pattern was current. The source was real. And it was inside the Dark Zone. The Galactic Council called an emergency meeting within minutes. Leaders from dozens of alien empires appeared as glowing holograms in the Great Chamber. Some looked angry. Some looked afraid. All of them looked confused. Then the audio played. Static filled the room. Heavy breathing. Distant alarms. And then a voice spoke. "We request assistance." The translator systems worked quickly. The voice belonged to the Varelian Empire. The chamber went silent. The Varelians were not weak. They were not peaceful. They were one of the strongest military powers in the galaxy. Their fleets were massive. Their weapons could burn continents. They had once openly laughed at humanity and called Earth a developing world. And now they were begging. The message continued, breaking apart between waves of interference. Our colonies are falling. Entire systems are gone. It is not a fleet. Not a weapon. We do not understand it. Screams echoed in the background. Metal twisted. Something exploded. Then the final words came. It is inside the stars. The transmission cut. For a long moment, no one spoke. Inside the stars? That made no sense. Several alien commanders began arguing at once. Some demanded borders be sealed. Others ordered immediate evacuations of outer systems. A few suggested sacrificing Varelian space completely. Fear moved faster than logic. At the edge of the chamber stood the human representative. Ambassador Daniel Reyes did not speak right away. He watched the replay again on his private screen. He slowed the audio. Increased the visual contrast. Studied the radiation spikes hidden in the static. He noticed something small. A pattern. The signal distortion was not random. It pulsed at equal intervals. Like a heartbeat. Reyes quietly sent the raw data back to Earth. Within minutes, human scientists began analyzing it. In the council chamber, panic continued to rise. If the Varelians are falling, we are next. We must retreat to core worlds. We cannot fight something inside a star. Finally, one alien leader turned toward the human ambassador. Earth has been silent. Do humans have knowledge of this threat? All eyes shifted to Reyes. He stepped forward calmly. Not yet, he answered. But we are studying it. A ripple of frustration moved through the chamber. The Varelians had always dismissed humanity as young and reckless. Now the same species was being asked for ideas. Before anyone could reply, another alert flashed across the council screens. A second Varelian system had gone dark. No explosion. No debris. Just silence. The dark zone had expanded. And it was moving closer to the core regions of the galaxy. Reyes felt a quiet weight settle in his chest. Humanity had only recently joined galactic politics. Earth's fleet was growing, but it was still smaller than many empires. Yet his instincts told him something important. This was not random destruction. This was deliberate. The heartbeat pattern in the signal repeated again in his earpiece. Slow. Steady. Whatever was inside the dark zone was alive in some way. And it was waking up. Reyes looked up at the frightened faces around him. For now, he said carefully, do not send fleets blindly. If it is inside the stars, direct attack may feed it. The chamber fell silent again. Outside the station windows, distant stars burned peacefully. But far away, in the black heart of the dark zone, one of those stars flickered unnaturally. And then it went out. The third star died 12 hours later. There was no explosion. No shockwave. No debris field. It simply dimmed, and vanished. Across the galaxy, long-range sensors confirmed the same terrifying truth. The missing stars were not destroyed by weapons. They were drained. Every bit of energy inside them was pulled away. Like something had fed on them. In the Galactic Council chamber, silence replaced panic. Fear had grown too large for shouting. Ambassador Reyes stood behind his station while human scientists sent updates directly to his display. Earth's observatories had locked onto the edge of the dark zone. For the first time, they were not just seeing darkness. They were seeing movement. It's spreading in a pattern, a human analyst reported through secure channel. Not random. It follows gravitational lanes between systems. Reyes narrowed his eyes. That meant intelligence. Or at least instinct. A new transmission suddenly burst into the chamber. The signal was unstable, but stronger than before. A Varelian warship appeared on the hologram, heavily damaged. Fire burned behind the captain's chair. The Varelian commander looked nothing like the proud officers seen in past council meetings. His uniform was torn. His eyes were filled with shock. We engaged the anomaly, he said. Our plasma cannons were absorbed. It adapted. Our shields failed within seconds. Behind him, the view screen showed something impossible. The star near their fleet was not exploding. It was unraveling. Dark strands of energy wrapped around it like giant shadows. The light bent inward, pulled into a swirling mass that looked like a storm made of pure black fire. It does not attack ships directly, the commander continued. It consumes the star first. When the star collapses, everything else dies with it. A violent tremor shook his vessel. We misjudged it. This is not a weapon. It is a living phenomenon. The transmission ended in static. Several alien leaders looked at Reyes again. This time, there was no pride left in their eyes. One spoke quietly. Human ambassador, your analysis. Reyes took a slow breath. It feeds on fusion energy. On active stars. And it grows stronger each time. How do you fight a storm that eats suns? Another leader demanded. Reyes did not answer immediately. Because on his private screen, something unexpected had appeared. Human deep space probes had detected a brief energy fluctuation inside one of the drain systems. A small signal. Artificial. A beacon. Wait, Reyes said suddenly. He expanded the data for everyone in the chamber to see. There is a structure inside the dead system. It survived. Gasps filled the hall. The structure was tiny compared to planets. But it was still transmitting. The council hesitated. No one wanted to send another fleet. Reyes made the decision for them. Humanity will investigate. Shock rippled across the chamber. You cannot be serious, one alien general protested. The anomaly is still there. Not fully, Reyes replied. It moves system by system. We have a small window. Back on Earth, the Terran Defense Command had already begun preparing a task force. Not a war fleet. A research fleet. Fast ships. Heavy sensors. Experimental shielding. As the human vessels entered faster-than-light travel, fear followed them like a shadow. Inside the drained system, darkness ruled. Planets floated frozen and lifeless around a cold star core. At the center of the system drifted the artificial beacon. Human ships approached slowly. And then their sensors detected something else. Fragments of energy still lingered around the dead star. Not random radiation. They were watching. The storm had not completely left. It had left something behind. A seed. As the lead human ship extended scanning drones toward the beacon, a faint pulse echoed through the system. Like a distant heartbeat. And somewhere beyond the dead star, deep within the dark zone, something shifted direction. It had noticed them. The human fleet moved carefully through the dead system. There was no sunlight. No warmth. Only cold planets drifting around a black star core. The silence felt heavy, like space itself was holding its breath. The beacon floated near the remains of a shattered moon. It was small and badly damaged, but it was still active. Its signal was weak but steady. Captain Mira Cade of the Terran ship Resolute Dawn watched the readings closely. "Keep distance," she ordered. No sudden moves. Drones moved ahead first. Small. Fast. Unarmed. As they scanned the beacon, data streamed back to Earth. The structure was Varelian. It had been deployed recently, most likely after their first failed battle. "It's a recorder," one human scientist said through comms. "They were studying it before they died." Cade nodded. "Download everything." While the data transfer began, another officer spoke softly. "Captain, the energy fragments are gathering." On the main display, faint dark strands were forming again near the dead star. They were not strong. Not enough to consume another system. But they were reacting. Like insects sensing movement. Back on Earth, scientists reviewed the beacon's final recordings. The Varelians had tried everything. They launched missiles into the energy storm. The storm absorbed them. They fired concentrated plasma beams. The storm redirected the heat into the star itself, speeding up the drain. But the final recording was different. It showed a brief moment when the storm had paused. Not from attack. From signal interference. The Varelians had accidentally disrupted it with overlapping communication waves while evacuating civilians. Reyes leaned forward as the data replayed. "Magnify that," he said. The overlapping signals had created a chaotic electromagnetic field. For less than 2 seconds, the storm's outer layer had destabilized. Not weakened. Confused. "It reacts to patterns," a human physicist whispered. "It feeds on stable fusion energy. But chaotic waves disturb its structure." Reyes felt a spark of hope. "It may not just be a storm," he said quietly. "It may be processing energy." Meanwhile, in the dead system, the human drones finished downloading the beacon. Suddenly alarms blared across the Resolute Dawn. Energy spike detected. The fragments near the star began merging. Dark light twisted into a thin spiral, stretching toward the nearest human ship. It did not move fast. It studied. Captain Cade felt a chill. "It's scanning us." The spiral touched one of the outer drones. Instantly, the drone's power core drained. Its lights died. But instead of growing stronger, the spiral flickered. Human ships did not use pure fusion cores like most alien vessels. Their reactors were hybrid systems, mixing fusion with unstable quantum fluctuations. The energy was not clean. It was messy. And the storm did not like it. Back in the council chamber, data from the fleet streamed in live. Alien leaders watched in silence as humanity tested the unknown. Reyes spoke clearly. "It prefers order. Perfect stars. Clean energy. That means it follows rules." "Rules can be broken," an alien leader murmured. In the dead system, Captain Cade made a fast decision. Reroute all power through harmonic disruptors. Broadcast maximum chaotic frequency. Human ships began emitting overlapping electromagnetic waves in wild patterns. Noise filled the system. The spiral recoiled instantly. Its shape fractured. The thin strands snapped apart and retreated toward the star core. But before fading, something unexpected happened. A pulse shot outward. Not an attack. A signal. Every human screen flashed with complex symbols. Mathematical sequences. Repeating. The bridge went silent. "It's communicating," Cade whispered. Back on Earth, the greatest human mathematicians stared at the data. The sequences were not random. They formed a pattern of growth and division. Replication cycles. Reyes felt the weight of realization settle in his chest. "It isn't mindless," he said. "It's evolving." And deep within the dark zone, where countless stars still burned bright, the main body of the storm shifted course completely. It was no longer moving blindly across the galaxy. It was heading toward Earth. Slowly. Deliberately. The news spread through Earth in minutes. The storm had changed direction. It was coming toward the Sol system. In the Galactic Council chamber, fear returned stronger than before. Several alien leaders immediately offered evacuation ships. Others suggested moving the human government to a safer world. Ambassador Reyes refused. "If we run," he said calmly, "it will follow. It has chosen us for a reason." On the main screen, the projected path of the energy storm glowed in red. It was no longer drifting from star to star randomly. It was cutting a direct line toward Earth's region. "It is curious about your chaotic energy," one alien scientist observed. "Your reactors disturb it." Reyes nodded. "Which means we are not just prey." Back on Earth, Terran Defense Command activated a plan that had never been tested outside simulation. Project Mirafall. Unlike Helios or traditional weapons, Mirafall was not designed to attack. It was designed to mislead. Human engineers had studied the storm's feeding pattern. It preferred stable, bright stars with predictable energy flow. So humanity would give it exactly what it wanted. But not in the way it expected. Across empty systems near the edge of human space, massive artificial fusion arrays powered up. They were built around dead rocks and small dwarf stars. For years they had been classified as deep space energy experiments. Now their true purpose was revealed. Each array began emitting perfect, clean fusion signatures, brighter and more stable than natural stars. To the storm, they would look like a feast. Captain Mira Cade watched the activation from orbit around Earth. Her fleet had returned safely from the dead system, bringing the mathematical signal with them. "It will notice," she said quietly. As if answering her words, sensors across the galaxy confirmed it. The storm shifted again. It accelerated. Alien leaders gasped as the red projection line bent toward the artificial fusion fields instead of Earth itself. "It's taking the bait," Reyes said. But this was only Phase 1. Phase 2 began as soon as the storm entered the first decoy system. From a distance, the storm looked beautiful. A swirling ocean of dark light wrapping around the artificial fusion core. It fed eagerly. But this time, the energy source was not simple fusion. Hidden inside the arrays were chaotic fluctuation generators, machines designed to destabilize energy at the quantum level. When the storm began absorbing the artificial star, the generators activated. Inside the swirling darkness, ordered fusion energy suddenly shifted into unpredictable waves. The storm trembled. On Earth, mathematicians tracked the reaction. "It's trying to stabilize the flow," one said. "It can't." In the council chamber, alien observers watched something they had never seen before. The storm hesitated. Not for seconds. For minutes. It pulsed outward violently, sending shock waves through the empty system. One of the fusion arrays exploded under the pressure. But the chaotic generators continued transmitting interference even as they tore apart. For the first time since it awakened, the storm was not growing. It was struggling. Captain Cade's fleet waited at a safe distance, ready to retreat if needed. But they did not fire a single weapon. This was not a battle of firepower. It was a battle of understanding. Suddenly, a powerful burst of energy shot out from the storm. Not aimed at ships. Not at planets. Toward Earth. A direct signal. Every screen in Terran Command lit up with the same mathematical pattern seen before, but faster, more complex. "It's learning from us," Reyes whispered. The storm was adapting to chaos. The room fell silent. If it mastered unstable energy, human reactors would no longer disturb it. And Earth would lose its only advantage. In the decoy system, the storm finally abandoned the artificial star. It pulled back, darker and more concentrated than before. It had not been destroyed. It had evolved. The new projected path appeared on the main screen. Still toward Sol. But faster now. Much faster. Reyes looked at the growing red line and understood the truth. Humanity had succeeded in one thing. They had proven they were different. And now the ancient force inside the dark zone wanted to understand them completely. Even if that meant consuming their sun to do it. The storm crossed the final border of human space 3 days later. There was no more hiding its path. No more guessing. It was coming for the sun. Across Earth, people looked up at the bright sky with a new feeling. For the first time in history, humanity understood that their star was not untouchable. In orbit, thousands of ships formed defensive lines. Not just human vessels now. Alien fleets had arrived quietly. Varelian cruisers. Traders. Even old rivals. They did not come to lead. They came to stand behind humanity. Ambassador Reyes stood inside Terran Command, watching the live projection of the storm. It was no longer a wide, scattered cloud. It had compressed into a dense spiral of dark energy. It had learned efficiency. "It will reach the outer system in 6 hours," an officer reported. Human scientists worked without rest. The mathematical signal sent by the storm had been decoded further. It was not just replication cycles. It was a map. A blueprint of how it consumed stars. "It creates a resonance with stellar fusion," a physicist explained. "It forces the star to overproduce energy, then absorbs the overflow." Reyes asked the question everyone feared. "Can we stop resonance?" Silence followed. Then Captain Mira Cade spoke from her command ship. "We don't stop it," she said. "We change the star." At first, the idea sounded insane. But the science team listened. The sun's fusion process was stable and predictable. That was why the storm could control it. But humans had studied solar engineering for decades. They had built solar mirrors, energy siphons, and magnetic regulators. What if they disrupted their own star first? Within hours, emergency plans activated. Massive solar satellites repositioned themselves around the sun. Magnetic regulators began pushing unstable waves into its outer layers. Energy output shifted slightly, not enough to harm Earth, but enough to break perfect stability. Alien observers watched in disbelief. "Humans are destabilizing their own star," one whispered. Reyes answered calmly. "We would rather wound it ourselves than let it be devoured." The storm entered the outer system like a silent tide. It swallowed comets and minor planets without slowing down. As it approached the sun, its spiral widened again, ready to begin resonance. Then it touched the solar surface. For a moment, nothing happened. Then the sun flared violently. Solar storms erupted in chaotic arcs. Magnetic waves twisted unpredictably. The resonance the storm attempted to create scattered in every direction. The spiral trembled. It tried to adjust, sending deep tendrils into the star. But the fusion patterns kept shifting. Human regulators increased output. The sun pulsed like a wild heartbeat. On the bridge of the Resolute Dawn, alarms rang as radiation levels spiked. "It's losing structure," an officer shouted. The storm tightened, trying to compress and stabilize itself. But every time it found a pattern, the sun changed again. Back on Earth, mathematicians launched one final transmission. They sent the storm its own decoded blueprint, altered. A new pattern. Unstable growth equations. For the first time, the storm's spiral flickered in confusion. It had been evolving by absorbing order. Humanity offered it disorder. The dark energy began collapsing inward. Without stable fusion to anchor to, it fed on itself, trying to rebalance. The sun erupted in one final massive flare. Light flooded space. When the brightness faded, the spiral was gone. Not exploded. Not scattered. Collapsed into a dense, dim sphere drifting near the sun's edge. Contained within its own failed resonance. Across the system, silence returned. Ships remained in position, waiting for movement. There was none. Earth's star burned, slightly unstable, slightly scarred, but alive. Cheers erupted across human ships. Alien fleets transmitted signals of relief. Reyes finally allowed himself to breathe. Humanity had not defeated the ancient force with bigger weapons. They had defeated it with risk. With creativity. With the courage to endanger themselves first. Far beyond Sol, inside the dark zone, the remaining energy fragments drifted quietly. They did not move toward another star. They did not expand. They waited. And for the first time in recorded galactic history, the darkness had learned something new. Not all stars burn in perfect order. Some fight back.